History sometimes turns on a single bold statement. Former President Donald Trump's recent threat to seize Iran's vital oil island has sent shockwaves around the globe. Leaders from Washington to Beijing are scrambling to respond, and financial markets are already feeling the tremors. For decades, the world has walked a tightrope in the Persian Gulf. Now those balancing acts look more precarious than ever. This is not just another headline. Oil keeps the world's industries running, fuels cars, and powers economies. Any threat to that supply is a threat to daily life for billions. Trump's words have injected a new level of urgency and uncertainty into an already tense Middle East. People everywhere are asking, what happens next? Global energy experts warn that even talk of seizing a key oil site can have far-reaching consequences. It's a stark reminder that, in an interconnected world, instability in one region can touch every corner of the globe almost instantly. The stakes are high. As nations react and markets shift, the next moves could reshape the balance of power, disrupt economies, and test the world's ability to avoid disaster. Kharg Island may look small on a map, but it is a giant in the world of energy. Located off the coast of Iran in the Persian Gulf, this island serves as the country's main terminal for oil exports. Nearly 90% of Iran's crude oil leaves the country through Kharg. In short, whoever controls Kharg controls much of Iran's access to the global oil market. The island is not just a patch of land. It is covered with oil pipelines, giant storage tanks, and loading facilities. Tankers from Asia, Europe, and beyond regularly dock here, loading millions of barrels of oil. For Iran, Kharg Island is a lifeline. Without it, their economy would be strangled by lack of oil revenue. Kharg has also been a target before. During the 1980s Iran-Iraq War, the island was bombed repeatedly, causing major disruptions in oil flow and sending global prices soaring. This history shows why threats against Kharg are taken so seriously. In today's world, where energy supply chains are already fragile, any new risk to a major oil hub can create chaos. That is why Trump's statement has alarmed leaders everywhere. Oil is not just a commodity, it is the lifeblood of the global economy. When a vital source like Kharg Island is threatened, oil prices react instantly. The mere hint of conflict or disruption can send markets into turmoil. As news of Trump's threat spread, oil prices spiked, reflecting traders' fears of possible shortages. These price jumps are about more than numbers on a screen. Every increase in oil prices can mean higher fuel costs, steeper grocery bills, and more expensive goods worldwide. Airlines, shipping companies, and manufacturers all feel the pressure, and they often pass these costs on to consumers. Investors hate uncertainty. When crucial oil infrastructure is at risk, they pull money from unstable markets and seek safer investments. This can weaken currencies, disrupt stock markets, and even trigger recessions in vulnerable countries. The ripple effects are global. Countries that depend on oil imports worry about rising costs. Oil exporting nations watch nervously, fearing that market panic could hurt their own economies. All of this shows just how quickly a threat in the Persian Gulf can hit wallets around the world. Why would a nation or a leader like Trump threaten to seize a place like Kharg Island? The answer lies in leverage and strategy. In global politics, controlling a vital resource gives a country power, both at the negotiating table and on the world stage. By threatening Kharg, Trump signals that he is willing to use bold tactics to pressure Iran. This kind of threat can be a message, not just to Iran, but to allies and rivals alike. It says, "We are serious. We have options." Sometimes, leaders use such threats to force opponents into talks or to deter them from making aggressive moves of their own. The Persian Gulf is already a tense region, with US and Iranian forces often operating near each other. By raising the stakes, Trump may hope to shake up the status quo or force Iran to reconsider its actions. It is a classic high-risk, high-reward move in international relations. However, making such threats is always a gamble. If the other side calls the bluff or reacts aggressively, a war could start by accident. That is why these moves are watched so carefully by diplomats and military planners worldwide. There are potential advantages to threatening a key asset like Kharg Island. First, it can give the US leverage in negotiations over Iran's nuclear program or regional influence. It may also reassure allies that America is willing to take dramatic steps to protect its interests. In some cases, just making a threat can push rivals to the bargaining table. But the downsides are serious. Threats can easily backfire. Iran might respond with its own military actions, closing off shipping lanes or attacking oil facilities elsewhere. Other countries could be drawn into the conflict, turning a local crisis into a global one. Oil prices could skyrocket, hitting people everywhere with higher bills. Diplomatic relations can suffer, too. Allies, who rely on stable oil flows, may feel uneasy about such risky moves. Rivals could see the threat as a provocation, making future cooperation harder. Instability in the Middle East has a long history of sparking wider problems. Ultimately, leaders must weigh short-term gains against long-term dangers. While leverage can bring results, the risk of conflict and economic shock is ever present. Deterrence is the idea that strong threats can prevent an enemy from acting. It is a cornerstone of international security. By warning of severe consequences, countries hope to keep the peace. However, deterrence only works if both sides understand each other's limits and intentions. The danger comes when signals are misunderstood. If one side thinks a threat is a bluff, they may ignore it or escalate in return. History is full of moments when poor communication led to war, even when neither side wanted it. In the crowded and tense waters of the Persian Gulf, even a minor mistake can spiral out of control. Miscommunication can also happen among allies. If partners disagree on how to respond, unity breaks down. This makes it harder to manage crises and increases the risk of bad decisions. The stakes are life and death. Effective deterrence requires clear, credible communication and a deep understanding of how the other side thinks. Without that, the world stands on a knife's edge. As this story unfolds, the world will look for several key signals. First, watch oil prices. Sudden spikes often indicate rising fear and real risks to supply. Next, follow diplomatic moves. Are countries calling for calm, or are they sending warships to the region? Military activity around Kharg Island will be closely monitored by satellites and news agencies. Keep an eye on public statements from leaders. Are they escalating their rhetoric, or are they seeking dialogue? Financial markets, especially in oil-dependent nations, will also react quickly to any changes. Protests or political changes at home can be signs of rising pressure on governments. Finally, watch for new alliances or shifts in long-standing partnerships. In a crisis, old friends may drift apart, and new coalitions may form. All these signals show how tightly the world is linked, and how events in one place can change lives everywhere. No one can predict exactly what will happen next. But, by staying informed and watching these signals, people can better understand the risks and strategies at play.